So Rick, I thought we'd start today with the origin story of Business Roundtable.
Okay.
Yep, you need your mic
Okay.
here, Rick.
So I have to get a little history here. So in what year was it? 84, two partners and I had sold my fuel oil business to Petro-Canada and retired for a couple of years. And the two partners, we bought Sumner Company. And people remember Sumner Company? It was a hardware, plumbing, heating, supply business. We did a leverage buyout. We each put in a couple $100,000 and we borrowed $10 million.
Oh, good for you. That's how much.
You couldn't do that these days. But I can remember actually when the deal was done in Toronto, I remember going down with a check in my hand for $10 million to do the deal. At that time, I joined the Young Presidents Organization, YPO. YPO, international organization. In order to be a member of YPO, if I recall, the conditions were at the time you had to be president of the company before the age of 40 and had to have 50 or more employees and do 10 million US or more in sales. And Sumner Company qualified for that. So I was in a group with some names, people you might know. It was we call it forum.
Okay.
John Risley of Clearwater, his brother Robert, who was in the restaurant business in Halifax, Carl Potter from municipal contracting,
Okay.
Hugh Smith from Maple Leaf Homes in Fredericton, Sussex. And I went down to Dallas and took the training from YPO on being a moderator. Okay. Moderator training. So I came back and I was a moderator of our group for a number of years. And after about 3 or 4 years, my group was going to split up. And I forget the circumstances, but there was a couple of guys who were leaving. And so I said, look, I want to continue this thing. I really like this. I want to continue on. So I'm going to start back then I called it Entrepreneurs Forum Group.
Okay.
And Boyd Anderson, anyone know Boyd Anderson here?
Yep.
Boyd Anderson said, no, you can't call it that. You'll have to call it Business Roundtable. Oh, that's a good idea. So we started Business Roundtable, and I had the concepts that I'd learned through the YPO experience, and I formally documented it, wrote it down, and got Business Roundtable going. I spent $100, it was a big investment, and I ran an ad in the paper looking for a salesperson to sell Business Roundtable memberships. Anyone remember Dan Melvin?
He recruited me.
Dan Melvin had been in the insurance business and he was tired of that, so I hired him, straight commission. He went knocking on doors and he recruited, I forget how many, 50 or more Business Roundtable members at then. And that's how we got going. It grew. I went through the process of having franchises. I had 3 Business Roundtable franchises, one in Ottawa, one in Vancouver, and one in Saskatchewan. They all failed. And I got thinking, well, why is that? Because maybe this is not the kind of business that lends itself to be franchised. But I'm really pleased that what we started back then thrives, and it's in good hands now. Thank you, Paul, for taking it over. I feel very confident that I always wanted Business Roundtable to live beyond me, and it will. And thank you.
Thank you very much. One of the things for me in my experience of 30 plus years in Business Roundtable, maybe you can speak to this, is the fact of the diversity of the groups. These are members from different industries. It's not all a bunch of bookkeepers sitting around talking about the problems. How do you think that adds a dynamic to this process?
I think it's really important. It's really important in any group that there can't be any conflicts in any way. So you can't have two people in the same business because they naturally have conflicts. And if you recall, when we start a group, we ask each individual, do you have any conflict with anyone in the group? Because we wanted to make sure there's no conflicts. Right. And a conflict can be personal relationships or my cousin or whatever it might be.
Right.
And so having no conflicts was one of the key things.
Yeah.
So that requires a lot of diversity.
Right.
And I believe that diversity gives it strength. If you had all bookkeepers together, you just think like bookkeepers. Yep. But if you have people in all different businesses in your group, they look at your situation, an issue that you have, with different eyes. Yep. And you'll get different views, different from what you might think.
Yeah, the other thing is that just started a new group. We've got a couple new members here, Tanya and Brett. Always exciting to get a new group off the ground. And we start that group is we talk about and sign a confidentiality agreement. Maybe you can speak to how that has been a cornerstone to BRT since the beginning.
Well, confidentiality is one of the cornerstones of it, and that's I used to hammer it home at the beginning, few meetings of each group, the importance of confidentiality. You can't talk to your wife or your cousin or your friends about anything that any member of your group, because a slight breach of confidentiality just totally destroys the trust that's so important in making the business roundtable work. So we talk about that. That is how important that is. It is.
Yeah, sometimes what happens from that perspective, it almost seems like people say, well, you can't tell me anything kind of about anybody in the group. Well, I can give you names and tell you what their businesses are. Like, how are they doing in business? I have no idea. You have to talk to them. But that trust level is so important, and you see that as it grows for those first three meetings. And then the other thing that strikes me is I've just had the opportunity to survey a couple of our groups and retreats, and there's at least 8 or 9 members that are like me, 30 plus years, and I asked them on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to stay in BRT? And I was surprised that they were all 9s and 10s. So what do you think keeps people coming to these meetings once a month for 30 plus years and still want to be part of the organization?
Listen, I was a member of a group, and so you develop a camaraderie with the fellow members of your group. One of the things about it is my expression of explaining what Business Roundtable is entrepreneurs, because that's where one of the criteria of membership, you have to be an owner for 3 years or 5 years?
We dropped it to 3, just Sorry's word.
3 years or more, an owner of a business. And so you have that in common with everyone else. That's what you have in common. But the diversity is your business is different. But one of the things about business that there are a lot of things that are similar in many ways. Dealing with employees, marketing, getting the right blend of things that you do to market your business. And these are the similarities that help bind the group together. Yeah. Everyone is there to help each other succeed.
Yeah, the other thing you've often talked about is it's a great place to have your questions answered and your answers questioned.
Right. That's one of the things too, is that because the trust level is very high in the group as it matures, you can call a spade. If someone's not doing something, why didn't you fire that guy? Right. You talked about firing that guy. You haven't done that yet, have you? And so holding them accountable is part of what makes it gives its value. Right. Who else is going to hold you accountable? Your banker.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing you talk about too, is there's no interest on my part. I want
my fellow members to succeed, but I'm not their banker, I'm not their lawyer, I'm not their marketing person. I'm not giving them that advice. I'm just telling them how I think. And the old expression that I always used to use was, in the beginning, they used to call it the bony finger, because I'd be like, this is what you have to do. And like, Paul pulled out the bony finger. So I modified it a bit to, if it was me or when I was in that position. Or the other thing that as a business owner, if you agree, there's only two things you could spend: time and money. And within that group, you've got some of these groups, well, these gray-haired gentlemen over here like me have 100+ years of business experience in their group. So if they don't know a guy or they don't know a gal that can fix this problem, I'd be very surprised. So as these groups go together, there's big value in that.
One of the things that we do with a new group in particular is, in the first number of meetings, is trying to build the trust level. Because trust and disclosure go hand in hand. So you disclose some information and the trust level rises, and you disclose a little bit more information, the trust level rises. Over a period of time within your group, you disclose to the group, and this is, I'm sure it happens often, disclose to the group things you wouldn't disclose to anybody else in the world, because you know that they only have one objective, and that's to help you succeed as you want to help them succeed.
Yeah, the other thing we've talked about too is if you find, over the years we've had members come and go, and I've always struck me that the members come in and kind of told everybody, okay, buckle up, here's my 5 things that we have to fix in this meeting. It's not all about me, it's about the fact that I get to help you as well. So it's that, I know some of our members that are been in business a long time, or maybe they sold their business, are like, well, I'm not sure I have any value to bring. Well, you've got value from your experience.
I call Business Roundtable guided mutual mentoring. Guided, and then there's a system, doing your updates, etc., goal setting. But mutual mentoring, I'll help you, but you're going to help me. And we expect it, it's a two-way street.
Yep.
And you can sit around the table with 10 other business people and put the cards on the table. Here's my problem. Right. What am I going to do about this? Yep. And you'll get several really great ideas. Yep. But what's more important, they'll hold you accountable for actually doing it. You said as I said, you're going to fire that guy? Yep. You didn't fire him yet, did you?
Yeah, if you're a guy like me that's studying for the test the night before, I don't want to show up to my ART group, so I'm going to do something at least the night before.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Okay, I used to do that too.
Yeah. So 34 years of business has changed a lot in the years since you've started this. We've been through the pagers and the cell phones and the faxes and internet. Some of these younger pups here haven't seen all of those. Look at business today. Do you think BRT is as relevant today as it was 34 years ago?
Oh, probably even more so. There is a tendency to rely, and we're going to talk about artificial intelligence here later. One book I read, Superintelligence, talks about what happens if it becomes malevolent. Right. If the intelligence decides that we don't need humans anymore, they're just a drain on our resources. So we can't let that happen. And we have to be careful that it doesn't evolve that way. Right. But in your Business Roundtable group, there is that the diversity gives it strength. And so you wouldn't want a whole bunch of accountants sitting around the table, not going to help you a whole lot. Right. But someone in a totally different business will look at a situation that you're dealing with from a totally different perspective, and you may say, oh, geez, I never thought about that. And so that's what gives it strength. Yeah. So in your group, there is that diverse background, diverse interests, experience. Yeah. It gives it a power.
Yeah, the last point that I'll mention too is the fact that you're getting these opinions. My wife says everyone's entitled to my opinion. That's what I think. So I'm happy to give it. But you don't have to do what you're told to do. I'm not going to mention any names. It's Mark Smith. But Mark is famous for our group where we would go around the table. Mark would say, "This is what I think I'm going to do," and everybody would say, "That's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. I wouldn't do that ever." And we'd come to the next meeting, and they're like, "Mark, what'd you do about that?" "Oh, I did that." "Yeah, okay, good."
Yeah.
So that's the other thing with BRT. You're an advisors, but you're not saying this is what you have to do.
Yeah. Actually, getting it done is an important thing too. And I found myself in my own group doing something the day before the meeting because I really didn't want to go to the meeting and say that I didn't do anything about that.
Didn't do nothing.
I didn't want to be embarrassed to say I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And so the whole process of meeting with your peers and being held accountable to them has a huge impact on me, I'm sure, and a lot of other people.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. I really appreciate you coming today, sharing your story. What we're going to do is we've had a memento, and we're going to present you something as a token of our appreciation as the founder. Maybe if you want to, there's an inscription on it, if you want to bring it up here for Rick, and so he can read it.
Put my glasses on to read the fine print.
Need your microphone here.
Richard Desbrisay, founder of Business Roundtable, honoring 30-plus years of bringing business owners together to work smarter, build stronger businesses, and create lasting friendships, with gratitude for a legacy that continues to inspire. October 31st, 2025.
Yeah, so let's see.
Thank you.
So,
I'm taking a deep dive here.
deep dive. So it's a whale's tail or a flute from the Bay of Fundy, and it's symbolic of good luck, freedom, speed, and strength. So
Thank you.
I really want to thank you, Rick, and I am so honored to have been given this opportunity to continue this legacy that you've started.
I have one other thing I want to do.
You do.
I have a Business Roundtable lapel pin. It's the only one in existence. And I'm going to pass it on to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Rick.